Hey, welcome to the end around version of take 188 of the Fire Pit Sessions. Tonight's theme, a celebration of great literature, aka Mr. Walters, please ban my books. All right, so YouTube is how we're going to get around this thing if they don't let us film this tonight. So we're jumping right into it. I want to warm the evening up, though, with a poem that I recently wrote for the Romantics. And when I say the Romantics, I don't mean the Romantical in Nature or that 80s pop band. That's not what I mean. I mean the actual Romantics from the era of Romanticism. And so late 1700s to mid to late 1800s, I don't know, roughly that period. Wordsworth, blah, Shelley, Keats, all those guys. All right, so here's the poem I want to start us off with tonight. The title is Romantic as Hell, for the Romantics. The pre-postmodernists were breathing down the necks of modernism before the modernists had any idea what they might look like in retrospect. But those postmodernists sure let them know once they finally became thoroughly full of themselves. The postmodernists with so much to poo-poo and so little to actually do with themselves. But whatever their 20th century affiliations were, there's no way, whether pre-modern or post, could have allowed your romantic parade to continue. Your shameless love of the sublime, all that worship of the senses and the heroic self, but especially the gross embarrassment of spontaneous feeling and unbridled emotion. Oh, Shelley and Keats, oh, Byron, with your flamboyant ego. Oh, Wordsworth, how oft you turned to those woods in the Sylvan Wye, wandering. Just know that I, as a most postmodernist poet, too did flee the urban blight of exhaust-belching roadways and steaming sewers beneath sidewalks packed with texters and phone talkers. Oh, how you would have despised the wretches. Yes, I too, dear Wordsworth, am a lover of the meadows and the woods and mountains and of all that we behold from this green earth, of all the mighty world. That which remains, at least. And so it is, I'll continue to sing here in your absence, amidst the still sad music of humanity. Those lines that I stole from Wordsworth were taken from lines composed a few miles above Tintern Abbey, a very noteworthy poem of his. So there was my little anthem for the Romantics. Love you guys so much. And now we move on to this evening's main topic. Here we are. All right, so before I read the letter that I wrote to him, I have to read again the opening paragraph from his letter, the Oklahoma State, that's stated here, the Oklahoma State Board of Education, and this is Ryan Walters, current Oklahoma Secretary of Education. Here's his opening paragraph in this letter. In light of recent events leading to the subsequent firing of Norman High School English teacher Summer Boismere, I am asking the Oklahoma State Board of Education to revoke her teaching certificate immediately. There is no place for a teacher with a liberal political agenda in the classroom. Ms. Boismere's providing access to banned and pornographic material to students is unacceptable, and we must ensure she doesn't go to another district and do the same thing. This action must be dealt with swiftly and with respect to all our kids and parents. Well, my dear Mr. Walters, I have written you a letter in response, but before I do that, let's take a peek at a list. Okay. Because I noticed that in all this hubbub and uproar and everything, one of the main things that comes to the surface on here is the sexually hinting of anything, the sexually suggestiveness of that or this or blah, this sexually, so, I mean, you know how the people who complain the most are always the ones who are hung up the most on the topic, for reasons. I'm just saying, but that's just the way it goes. So listen, before we actually dig back to the band and, and challenged books that seem to be the most banned and challenged right now at this time period or whatever, I want to just say, sexually of any kind, okay, first of all, I put out a post several days ago, and I asked people, I said, please tell me, the name of the poet and the poem or whatever it is of the most sexually explicit or most sexually awesome poem that is your favorite, let's say sexually suggestive poem, okay? And this isn't even a complete list of all your wonderful responses that you came back with to this post. But I'm just saying, Mr. Walters, here's a list besides the list of banned and challenged books that you seem to be fighting from and about and over, okay? You need to get to work on also making sure that you get rid of W.H. Auden, top of that stack right there, okay? Right there, W.H. Auden, Pulitzer, Bollingen Prize, National Book Award, Guggenheim Fellow, among others, taught at Swarthmore and Oxford, among others. Bukowski, oh my gosh, seriously? Okay, well, listen, just take your pick of anything from these two shelves right here. Yes, Mr. Bukowski, yeah, all right, so you're gonna ban Bukowski? Good luck with that, because those Germans aren't going to let you do it. All right. Also on the list, Byron. Lord Byron experimented with homosexuality in college, then later preferred married women who usually left their husbands to marry him, and fathered a child with his half-sister, possibly? Okay. You'll have to get rid of him too. He's second in the pile down from the top there. Sandra Cisneros, Loose Woman, American Book Award winner and MacArthur Genius Grant. Billy Collins, his poem Japan was suggested. He's right there. A U.S. Poet Laureate and Guggenheim Fellow. E.E. Cummings, good luck banning him. Guggenheim Fellow and Bollingen Prize in Poetry. John Donne, also back here, a very famous 17th century womanizing cleric. Carol Ann Duffy, Poet Laureate of the United Kingdom. James Joyce, his letters to Nora, basically X-rated. Stanley Kunitz, also in this pile right here. Okay, United States Poet Laureate, Pulitzer, Bollingen Prize, National Medal of the Arts. You'll have to get rid of him too. Pablo Neruda, Nobel Prize in Literature and International Peace Prize. Sharon Olds, National Book Critics Circle Award and the Pulitzer. Rumi. You'll have to get rid of Rumi too. Sappho, bringing us erotica from over 2,500 years ago. Shakespeare, that guy. Song of Solomon, ban that one. Jefferson Peterson, here in Wimberley, Texas, was telling me that if you knew the Egyptian background of the metaphors, it would be X-rated. Walt Whitman, father of free verse, well-known proclivities for homosexuality. And at the very bottom of our pile down here, Wordsworth. We wouldn't want to leave Wordsworth out, would we? You'll have to ban him too. So listen, here's the deal. When it comes to these banned and challenged books, many people don't really even know that there is a 100 most list that you can track down online. I have all 100, but what I want to do just real quickly is I want to read out a few titles here that took my breath away. The absolute, in 2021, most challenged book of the last few years, according to the Brooklyn Public Library from 2021, The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. I've met the guy. Totally crazy, absolutely wonderful. Incredible book, unbelievable. The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee from 2020. Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. 2019, The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. And listen to this one here from 2019, The Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. So now listen, okay, now from 2010 to 2019, the list of 100 most banned and challenged books, I just highlighted a few here just to give you a little info. All right? The Kite Runner, Hunger Games, A Brave New World, Aldous Huxley. We have The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, you know. The Things They Carried, Tim O'Brien. Beloved by Toni Morrison. Goosebumps by R.L. Stine. The Catcher in the Rye, The Color Purple. The Holy Bible is 52. Just fire your engines up, Mr. Walters. The Diary of Anne Frank, Bless Me Ultima by Rudolfo Anaya, another wonderful author I have met, and why that book would be banned, I have absolutely no idea, except that you're petrified of your history of the United States and what really happened. House of the Spirits by Isabel Allende. 1984, George Orwell. A Clockwork Orange. I mean, and I know why the caged bird sings. Maya Angelou. Folks, and I know I need to stop saying folks, but anyway, we're in dark times. These are dark times. If we're getting back to taking books like that away from young people, it's we're going back. We're going backwards, marching fearlessly backwards, a phrase that my dad used to say all the time. So, oh good grief, where did I set my glass? I set my glasses down somewhere. There we go. All right. All right, fun video. Yeah, there we go. Fun video moment. So here it is. Before I close out with a song, this is all the only other thing I'm doing tonight. Here we go. This is my letter for Ryan Walters, Oklahoma Secretary of Education. Good Mr. Secretary is the title of the letter. Dear Mr. Walters, in light of recent events leading to the subsequent firing of a Norman High School English teacher whom you publicly shamed by name in your missive on state letterhead, I am asking the Oklahoma State Board of Education to regain its soul and revoke your license to bulldoze the sacred arts of learning and enlightenment back over 1,000 years to some medieval junkyard. Art and literature are beams of light that have guided human civilization through its darkest ages since we first started painting animals and leaving our handprints on cave walls many tens of thousands of years ago. And all through those ages, attempts to control, ban, squelch, or even destroy them have failed. Turns out artists are a scrappy and relentless brood who've never given up or given in to the likes of you. So do you actually believe you're going to be some kind of exception? You say there is no place for a teacher with a liberal political agenda in the classroom. Well, sir, I have done time in English departments as a student and teacher for almost as long as you have been alive. And I am telling you, I have not met an English teacher without some agenda. But it usually has something to do with a passion for awakening young minds to the beauty of art and great literature and the power they have to transform our lives for the better. You say she provided access to banned and pornographic materials to her students. My guess would be then you must not spend much time on the internet. Well, just know, those students do. And most of them already know what you're afraid of them finding out. And one more guess I'll make is that when people like you do things like this, it tends to make young people do the exact opposite of what you so desperately want. Young people are notoriously like that. And one more guess, as a quick example of that. When I, as a teacher, assigned books for a course at the University of Oklahoma, I found over the more than 2 decades I taught that at an ever-accelerating rate, students tended not to read them. They know how to get around it, and the internet supplies them a plethora of means. The reason? I was making them do it. And the average American student, more and more, as I said, was not going to tolerate such audacity on my part. So, what have you accomplished here by firing this young accredited teacher with an agenda? 2 things. The first is nothing. At least we're the good kids you're most worried about. The ones who go to church and promise to vote for you when they're old enough are concerned. Those kids were not going to read those books she was not assigning, mind you, merely supplying access to anyway. And the second is the best thing. Because the bad kids, who I'd bet you're less worried about since they're never going to vote for you, but you won't admit that, who were not going to read those books either because the teacher suggested them, are damn well going to read those books now, and for no other reason than you're trying to keep them from it. Because that is what we bad kids live for. Look, all you had to do to avoid this age-old predicament was actually read the books your history professors assigned you in college. I'm assuming you went, although when it comes to qualifications these days. Anyway, I'm just saying you could have saved yourself from the harsh way the history books are now going to remember you, if they bother. So, Mr. Walters, you can challenge books, you can ban them, you can even burn them, if you are indeed brave enough to dance with the likes of Hitler. But we will just keep writing them. Yours duly, Nathan Brown, PhD, former poet laureate of the state of Oklahoma. All right, so Mr. Walters, here's the stack of the filth that I write. There's pretty close, I think that's pretty close to all 25 of them right there, okay? So it's this stack here. Please ban my books, okay? This particularly horrible creation right here, 2 tables over, happened to win the Oklahoma Book Award. But anyway, you can ban it too if you want. Anyway, please, Mr. Walters, please ban my books. And so, a toast to all those great authors and all that great literature that was on those lists that I read to you earlier before I read the letter. And tonight, folks, it is going to be red wine. And the reason? I wanted to drop a toast for the Queen. Queen Elizabeth. Cheers, my lady. And who knows what'll happen if I go ahead and do the song anyway, but here we go. Because I want to sing this one for all the kids out there who are thinking about that list. Don't you know, we're talking about a revolution. Sounds like a whisper. Don't you know, we're talking about a revolution. Sounds like a whisper. While they're standing the welfare lines, crying at the doorsteps of those armies of salvation, wasting time in the unemployment lines, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know, they're talking about a revolution. Sounds like a whisper. Poor people gonna rise up and get their share. Poor people gonna rise up and take what's theirs. Don't you know you better run, 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 run. Oh, I said you better run, 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 run. I've been standing in the welfare lines, crying at the doorsteps of those armies of salvation, revolution, wasting time in the unemployment line, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know, talking about a revolution sounds like a whisper. 'Cause finally the tables are starting to turn. Talk about revolution, oh. Yes, finally the tables are starting to turn. Talk about revolution, oh. Yes, finally the tables are starting to turn. Talk about revolution, oh. Talk about revolution, oh. Talk about revolution, oh. Talk about revolution, oh. The inimitable Tracy Chapman. Thank you for that song, Tracy. Love it. And thank you all for joining me here tonight. I love it. No matter what it takes, I will somehow figure out some way to keep the Fire Pit sessions going. Appreciate you all. Namaste. Keep reading poetry. It's a little bit of sanity in a world gone completely mad. And I will see you soon for take 189. To the Queen.